Well, of course, we are joined by the one and only Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man, looking very, very big and mean and successful, grinning like a Cheshire cat after that unbelievable performance last week. Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, it was good. I put a lot of work into the prep for that fight, so to see it come to fruition, or everything we worked on was great. Couldn't be happier.
I mean, Pudzianowski's been around a long time. Obviously, you guys have very similar backgrounds. Mate, you smoked him. You absolutely smoked him.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of what do they call it when a win's not like quite satisfying, because he's like one of my heroes. It's like Mariusz Pudzianowski is someone I grew up watching strongman, massively respected from myself and the whole strongman community. So it was a bit of a weird one beating Mariusz up, but yeah, the 28 seconds I think the fight was called in, and yeah, it was great. I mean, the guy's had, that was his 27th professional MMA fight, and that was my first. So when you talk about amateurs coming in and you get into the circuit, you perhaps your first fight, you want to fight someone that's had maybe 2-3 fights. You've had 10 fights. You want to fight someone who's had 12, 15 fights. I just came in with 0 fights and thought, fuck it, I'll just go for the gauntlet. Fuck it.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, you've elevated yourself and put yourself in deep waters, and I'm sure you've got tons of options. But just real quick before we get onto that stuff, with it being your first fight, Eddie, because I watched it back and I did like a little YouTube reaction. When I first had my, I don't know, 10, 15 fights even, I couldn't remember what happened in the fight, because as you get more into your career, you learn to control your emotions. And it looked to me like you were just like ready to go. Were you just like crazy high on adrenaline?
No, I was actually pretty calm. I was actually very sort of like grounded in the situation. But the plan was, as soon as we land a shot on him, like a good clean shot, if his eyes roll, and finish him off. And that's exactly what happened. So I was more than willing to go the 2 4-minute rounds. Like I was anticipating to go the 2 4-minute rounds, but in the first 10 seconds, I threw a 1-2 and I missed the second. And then as I sort of was off balance, but as I was coming back up, I was like, throw another one, caught him square in the face, and his eyes rolled. I was like, this is my moment, and just plowed in. So it worked anyway.
Well, sadly for him now, he's getting called out by all sorts. The 2 midgets that you beat up last time, they want to get their hands on Pudzianowski. What have you done to this guy?
So the Nafati brothers. So they actually did a 2v1. They did a 2v1, I think it was last month, against a big Polish guy, and they actually won. They beat him. Right. So, yeah, it sounds good that they're calling Mariusz out. I'm glad they're calling Mariusz out. That's quite funny.
Yeah, no, exactly. Obviously, congrats, successful debut, and he does have a lot of experience. I mean, you're kind of the talk of the town now, Eddie. I mean, you've got a big name. You're very, very well known. You had a great career as a strongman. Is this the focus going forward, the life as a professional fighter?
I wouldn't say that. I've got no aspirations to be like a ranked fighter. Like I don't want to be number 1 in the world. I don't even want to be in the top 50 in the world. It's just that's not me. I think where I belong is the freak fights. It is the me versus Mariusz Pudzianowski worked because it was a world's strongest man versus a world's strongest man. And we're both huge guys. It worked. I think, if I were to go in against a world champion that only weighed 100 kilo, it's sort of a lose-lose for me, because if I win, it's like, oh, well, you beat someone at half your size. And if you lose, you got beat by someone half your size. So it's sort of like a lose-lose. So I think I belong in sort of the freak fight scenario, the 2v1s, fighting the Mariusz Pudzianowskis of the world. And that's where I want to go with it, really. I've got no ambition to be a ranked fighter at all.
And that's actually really honest of you, I respect that, because I understand what you're saying there. But what you're doing is, you're trading off your name and your reputation, and you can go out there and you can have these freak show fights, still get paid a lot of money, still have a lot of fun, and use your skills that you've acquired.
Yeah, no, that's the main thing is having fun. And, I sort of handpicked this fight about a year ago, and throughout the whole process, it's been a bit of drag, but throughout the whole process, I kept having to remind myself that I wanted this fight. I asked for this fight. I set this fight up. Everything, I wanted this. And it's like, the second you don't want to get in the ring with someone is really the time that you shouldn't really be fighting. And the fact that I wanted to fight Mariusz, it made it fun. If I were to get in the ring, like if I was going to be fighting Francis Ngannou or John Jones, that would be like, in the anticipation for that, it'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what life choices have I made to put myself in this situation? And that wouldn't be fun for me. That would just be stressful.
Yeah, but I think you do better. I think, I mean, obviously you're being humble, but you're a lump. You're a handful for anyone, Eddie. And I did see you say last week, forget Francis Ngannou. But now I see that you've done a little bit of a U-turn, and given the correct preparation, you could be convinced to take on somebody like that.
Yeah, no, I got asked the question straight after I fought Mariusz, and I was like, look, guys, just don't put my name in the same conversation as Francis Ngannou. That's just ridiculous. But having thought about it, and I've actually had a few nudges from some federations, it's like, look, you put me in the ring with Francis Ngannou with good training. Don't get me wrong. I think probably 95 times out of 100, Francis Ngannou wins that fight. But it's that 5%. It's that I've just got that knockout power. If I get that, it's still a human being at the end of the day. If I get that on the end of your chin, you're going to sleep. And that's why in my head, right, I'm like, why not? If the money's right, the money's got to be right to risk your life. Why wouldn't I take that fight? I've got a small chance and I'd take it.
Yeah, and that's what life's all about. You got to take risks. You got to take chances and make the most of things. And he is, realistically, he's not with the UFC. I know he's with PFL, but he would be one of the only people that you could get one of these gigantic fights with. When you say some federations have reached out, is that like official talks and discussions?
Nothing's official yet. They're all just playful conversations. There's one guy I was speaking to who I think represents John Jones, and he was asking about other fighters. I was like, give me John. Fuck it, give me John. Obviously, that's a very playful conversation, but those are I'm like, look, if the money's right, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did see a comment that you made that kind of made me laugh. You weighed in at 334 pounds, which is a big old lump, but you felt anorexic in there. You felt very skinny.
I did. You got to think at my peak, I was 433 pounds, so I'm 100 pounds down from when I was at my biggest. And I lost because we agreed a year ago in the setup for this fight, we agreed 2-minute rounds, right? Which suits me down to the ground. I was 160 kilo, 360 pounds. I was like, I can do 2-minute rounds all day long. And then 7 weeks out from the fight, Mariusz Pudzianowski put a stipulation in, it's 5-minute rounds or I'm not fighting. And he wouldn't budge. And we somehow met in the middle at 4-minute rounds. So I had to lose 10 kilo, which is pretty much 20 pounds, over 20 pounds. So I went from 360 to 330. And I just felt, it just didn't suit me. I felt horrible. I was fit, but it just didn't feel right. I didn't feel as strong, as powerful as I wanted to.
Well, I mean, as someone who's spent their entire life trying to get as strong as possible and to build muscle, I mean, I guess that goes against everything you stand for.
100%. Yeah, I didn't touch a weight for 12 weeks, it's just that I've never done that for as long as I've been training from the age of 13. I've always done weights 4 times a week. And that was a hard thing to do. To not touch weights for 3 months was tough.
How old are you now, Eddie?
37.
37. Because I'm 46 now, and I'm lifting weights 4 or 5 times a week. Dude, I am sore as hell. It's like I'm waking up every day and I'm like, this is supposed to be good for me. It's supposed to be healthy. But I woke up, I was just in, where was I? I was in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. And I woke up Friday morning and I had a good leg day the day before. And I was just like, fuck this. I'm sick of feeling like this.
Yeah, no, I have days like that all the time. But something I did a massive change in my diet recently, probably about 6 months ago, and it's helped the inflammation so much. So I basically just eat now meat, eggs, and dairy. I don't eat any vegetables or fruits.
Same.
And I feel like my inflammation's come right down. Feel incredible. Feel really good.
Yeah, so I've been having this conversation with a lot of people. There's I first heard about this a few years ago and I wasn't too sure about it, but now I'm seeing a lot of stuff on social media that apparently a lot of the vegetables are full of oxalates and they're not good for you. And our gut isn't designed to break them down and stuff like that. And essentially we shouldn't be eating vegetables. Is that kind of the process that you're using, or is it just straight carnivore without that kind of information added?
No, I that's what my understanding as well is. Like, we can obviously absorb and utilize fruits and vegetables in very small doses, but I think we've come accustomed, as the human race has come accustomed to eating huge amounts of potatoes and pasta and carrots, and it's just we're getting more of the stuff we should be having minuscule portions of than we are the meat, you know. And that you got to think, as cavemen, all we ate back then was animal meat, organs, liver, kidneys. That's all we ate. And it's only the last what 500 years or so we've just switched to eating potatoes and carrots, and we're ourselves basically.
It's the last 60 years, isn't it, with this food pyramid that came out, which is absolute bullshit, and we all know that you got to flip the food pyramid upside down. But take us through an average day of eating then, Eddie. What are you consuming?
So I'm sitting. I just come out of camp, so I was doing like 4,500 calories a day in camp, and that's to lose weight.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that was to lose weight. So I usually eat about 7,000 calories a day, and it's pretty simple. It's just like salmon, cottage cheese for breakfast. Snacks is pork scratchings. Lunch, I'm always having like usually half a kilo to a kilo ribeye steak with duck eggs, black pudding. You know what black pudding is? I'm sure you do.
Mate, come on.
Yeah, of course.
What are you talking about? I love a bit of black pudding.
I forgot you from the UK. Yeah,
come on, mate. Don't forget that.
The USA isn't really like, what the black pudding? It's like one of the best things on planet Earth. And then pretty much the same for dinner. You know, it's literally just meat, eggs, and a little bit of dairy.
When I was cutting weight, and obviously you weigh in afterwards, the meal afterwards was ridiculous. And I used to go from 185 pounds. That night, I'd be back up to 205, something like that. And it was quite ridiculous. But I can only imagine what yours looked like. What did you have after the weigh-in?
It's not one meal. It's the week. It's the entire week. So up until the fight, I think I had a cheesecake the night before the fight just to sort of treat myself and just take my mind off things. But after the fight, yeah, I've spent the entire week. I've eaten pretty healthy, but I've had cheesecakes, I've had crisps. I'm just like carnivore out the window. I'm just going to eat chocolate and sweets. Piled it in. I put 10 kilo on in a week. So I'm back up to 360 pounds.
Yeah, but a lot of that's just water weight, though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Because everyone says that about Paddy Pimblett. Oh, my God, he's put on so much weight. It's like, dude, you start eating all the good stuff, all the snacks, all the treats. Your body hangs on to water. So it's very, very easy to do. So what else is going on in your world, Eddie? What's next for you?
So I'm going back over to Denver, Colorado to compete in arm wrestling against America's Strongest Man, Robert Oberst. And that's with Brian Shaw. And then I'm hoping to get another fight booked in sort of November, December time. Again, just having these conversations. I don't know who with or when. But if that fails, I'm probably going to use the bulk I'm going to do. So I'm going to put size and strength on for the arm wrestling. If the fight news doesn't come in, I'll just cut up and do a bodybuilding show. Because I've not done one yet. And I just fancy stepping on stage just once, just doing like a 5 to 6 month cut and just seeing what I look like on the stage as a one-off.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we've got to look good in the mirror. The arm wrestling, is that lucrative, Eddie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's quite rewarding. Yeah. Very rewarding, very easy to train for. It's just like 20 minutes a day, little movements. So it's a piece of piss to train for, you know? So it doesn't really take away from, I can do my YouTube, I can still train weights. It doesn't affect anything, you know, and it's fun.
Yeah. I arm wrestled someone when I was doing power slap recently. I arm wrestled one of the guys. He was a super heavyweight and he had like the biggest biceps or something like that, according to him. So I'm like, come on, let's have a go. That was about 2 months ago. My elbow is still destroyed. I absolutely
you have to be so careful.
My elbow. Yeah, and then it starts getting better. And then I get back in the gym and start lifting weights and it goes right back to square one. So be careful, Eddie. Be careful.
Mate, I've been there. I did an arm wrestle with Brian Shaw in, I'm going to say like 2018. It was like backstage at a strongman event. And we did left hand. We're both right-handed. Like, let's do the left hand so we don't hurt each other. Both of us went for it. I actually beat him, but none of us said nothing. We were on a TV show doing the strongest man in history for months. And after about 4 months, we did an event. I was like, oh, my arm. And he's like, is your arm hurting? I was like, yeah. He's like, since we arm wrestled, my arm's been killing me. Neither of us would admit that we hurt each other. But once we both admitted it, every time we like lifted something on set, oh, my elbow. And that went on for about 8 months. So
mine's destroyed. Mine's destroyed. It is. You mentioned on set there. You got a movie coming up soon, right?
Yes. So it's like an Indiana Jonesy sort of James Bond style action film with Russel, Crowe, and Mel Gibson, and I'm sort of on screen for the entire film. So yeah.
No way.
Hoping that pulls off. Just waiting for a date, really. It's going to be this year, though.
Oh, congrats! Yeah, no, I've got 2 lead movie roles myself coming up soon.
You know, well, I know, man. That's boss.
Yeah, but there ain't no Russel Crowe or anyone in it. They're low budget, but still, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what I'm training like a madman for, trying to slim down because I got to have my shirt off. I'm like, shit. Yeah. You do know I'm 46 and I'm not in my prime anymore. But congrats on that, Eddie, because you know, for me, anytime I talk about like doing a film or anything, I kind of start to cringe just hearing myself talk about it. But you obviously had your path in the world, and when you get these opportunities, I mean, why wouldn't you take them, right?
100%. And being top level athletes like me and you people, when I said I was going to get into acting, like people, you can always see it in the face. They're sort of like you can't fucking act. Yeah, it's just like backhanded sort of like scoffing and compliments and whatever. But it's like, if you're going to be a top level athlete, there's no doubt in my mind, if you can be a top level athlete, you can be a top level actor, because you know you have to dedicate yourself to it, to put the work in, to do the acting lessons, to do the speech therapy. And I've done all that, and I'm sure you have. And that's what makes us successful. You know, we don't go half-arsed. If we say we're going to do a leading role film, we're going to practice, we're going to do lines, we're going to do an acting lesson, speech therapy, do the lot.
My problem is there's 2 back-to-back. So I'm trying to learn 2 sets of scripts. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've been hitting the head 1,000,000 times. Remembering stuff is not my forte. All right, well, listen, Eddie, it's always a pleasure talking to you, mate. So next time we see you, not on a movie set, if you had to gamble, who are you stepping in there with?
Oh, hell.
I think the Ngannou, just keep making noise on that.
People keep making noise on the Ngannou, so I think that's probably the most likely right now.
That's insane. What do you think? I mean, I don't want to ask for numbers, but are we talking like over 1 million, over 2 million? What are we saying, Eddie?
Oh, I mean, we're risking my life, so it's got to be over. It's going to be 8 figures probably.
Let's go. Good for you.
Yeah.
What's the name of the supplement company? Beast Nutrition?
Beast Farm. So we do clothing and protein and everything else. Yeah.
Still waiting on my care package, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. You know.
You never sent me your address.
I will send you my address, but I'm only joking for the most part. Eddie, you're a gentleman. Congrats on last weekend. All the best with everything going forward. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you, mate.
And you. Thank you, buddy. Take care, man.
Anytime, Eddie. Take care.